Hey everybody, welcome. This is episode 316, and tonight we're going off the little beaten path where we're going to focus on the medal winners of the WEKAF tournament that was just recently held in the Philippines. And tonight we have three of them. We have Richard, we got Nick, and we got Frank, and we're going to be bringing them up now. So if you're checking this out, please tell us where you're watching from, smash that like button, and here we go. All right. So it's been a while since I've had four windows, or I should say three guests, better yet. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of, what I do is when I have multiple guests, when I kind of ask a question, I kind of just rotate the order, you know what I mean? So everybody will kind of get first crack, you know? So it's all right. So, I mean, well, first of all, congrats to all of you. You know, I think that's pretty incredible. You guys flying over there, different country, doing your guys' thing, and then coming back with a medal. I think that's pretty incredible. So I'm glad you guys happy for your success, and seemed like well received too. When in the post FMA discussion, it seemed like folks were overall happy for you guys. So. As far as the event goes, pre-event, like we touched upon this in the test run. Let's start with Rich. So, you guys all have kind of a crack at the question. Is there any particular criteria for getting on the team?
From what I understand, you have to compete and qualify through one of the national qualifier tournaments. So I participated in the East Coast qualifier and qualified for a bunch of events. And actually, myself and Frank, we went to the West Coast as well to try our luck, see if we could, I also just wanted to spar more people, but we qualified for some other events through there. So,
okay. So it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, you kind of get your name out there, in these events, people see it, and you kind of bring that to the table. And I'm guessing that's one of the criteria that's looked upon, the past tournament experience.
Yeah, I mean, like you have to, I guess you just have to win the qualifier event, and I think you win either gold or silver, then you qualify for Team USA, and then you can represent the country in the world tournament. So that's basically the criteria.
Okay. Frank, anything to add to
that? No, he's pretty much on the money. Whether they change it to just nationals or eventually they're going to change it to just a regional, whatever it may be, but you have to win one of those. Rich and I, like he mentioned, we went to West Coast. We're one of the only ones, actually the only ones who won gold and qualified both as East and West Coast nationals. I left that one out there, Rich. But that was a lot of fun.
In various events. Not every single one.
Let's face it. I personally wanted to just, even though we qualified, when I found out about the West Coast, I just wanted to continue to compete at a higher level. And in truth, none of us had any intentions of the Worlds. Not to mention, we had no clue as to whether it was happening, whether they'd get it together in time. They were still getting over the typhoon and stuff like that. So we really just wanted to go and just,
the original venue apparently in Cebu that they had used for prior world tournaments had been destroyed. So they were scrambling to find another venue, and they were able to secure the venue for the time of the tournament. And there's been a lot of things going on in the Philippines, like an election of a new president.
The election.
Everything was really by the seat of the pants. But again, we just, without having the Worlds in mind, we just having no clue that we qualify several times. But it was more about just the actual tournament and competing. But it just all came together that way. So
wow.
Yeah.
So Nick, same question, and also, who lets you know? Like, how do you get a mail? I mean, you get a piece of mail, letter in the mail, or what?
So I guess the best way I heard it said was by the seat of its pants. I mean, there was just a lot of uncertainty as to when it was taking place. I mean, when I had one at the East Coast, I think it was Chris who came to me. He goes, well, he's like, you made it to Team USA, and I was like, what are you talking about? And I didn't understand like the concept of how that would qualify me for the Worlds, and like I really had no idea. This was back in November, and I didn't know what was going on with it until finally we kind of had an idea that it was taking place in July, and I think that was like May was where it was finalized to some degree. And then,
and I still didn't believe it.
Right. No, we were told it could change at any moment.
And
Everything.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
I had already booked my ticket, and then I got the email that said I made Team USA.
Yeah. Actually, there was a text in the group message the week of everyone was starting to go out that because some people were asking, some people were going to get there a week early, days early, and do some things before the actual event. And we were told specifically, no matter how early you get there, stay within the environment, within the venue, because it could change at any moment. The fact that they had the venue doesn't mean it's guaranteed. Someone can swoop in, such as someone from the elections, and say, hey, I want a party there. And whether you have
it's done, right?
It's gone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. I mean,
I guess that the whole totem pole, the WEKAF tournament wasn't very high up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that didn't get altered, changed, or deleted, or what have you. So, I mean, okay, so you guys get notified based on winning some previous tournaments and what have you. So it sounds like it's regardless of style. It just sounds like it's performance based.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got to take a medal in the national tournament. I guess to qualify.
Right. If for chance that gold medal winner for any reason can't come, as a silver medalist, you get bumped up, but you have to win at least the gold, silver, or even bronze for that matter. So you have to qualify, just like you would in the Olympic trials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there, Rich, is there a set number? In other words, like, okay, we're only taking 20 this year on the team. Is that?
I don't think so, because the number of participants per country varied from 1 under Switzerland, 2, I think, under Brazil. 3, our boy Daniel Switzerland, we adopted him. The USA adopted him. I shared a picture of my wall. I think I was suiting him up for, padded stick.
Yeah.
So, and I was trying to coach him, but he lost. I was really disappointed, because I felt like, I could coach him and maybe he can win, but he didn't. And then it could range to like us. I think there were like 30 participants. And then Philippines, I mean, there were hundreds. It was just, I was like, I turned around, like,
one come all.
They brought us in, and then I looked behind us, and I see the Philippine day. I was like, I can't fight all these people.
The Philippine team is 200 strong.
Yeah, it really was.
It was, the place was just packed with them. It was just, but yeah, there were just so many participants just from the Philippines, and then within different towns.
Wow. Okay. Oh yeah. Right. I mean, provinces and what have you, and all that.
Yeah,
So
because actually, when we arrived, they were still finishing up the Philippine national tournament. Yeah, so they were still doing their qualifier, the national qualifier.
Yeah, after the opening ceremony.
I'll tell you, the person who was running the tournament and scheduling everything, Grandmaster Antonio, I mean, he is a genius, because I could not believe how he could have juggled all of these things. He had so many moving parts, and it's just comical. I would have had a nervous breakdown. I would have been in the fetal position.
Yeah, different concrete. Yeah, fetal position in the corner.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had nerves.
He still would have been there with the laptop, still in the fetal position. But he was amazing. He was talking about being up at 4 a.m, almost 10, 12 days just before the trip.
I can't even imagine the preparation. Yeah, that's an anxiety attack for me.
Yeah.
He deserves a medal himself.
absolutely.
He needs a gold medal.
And Kim also from Kick Connection.
Kick Connection.
Yeah.
You know, you had Antonio who was running things on the Filipino side, and Kim really helped like organize things for Team USA. You know, overall getting the uniforms and stuff like that, and our shirts and stuff. So, I mean, there were some key people who were really like working and busting their ass to get things done, man.
All right. So my next question, Frank, who sponsors? Where's the money coming from to outfit you guys and what have you? I imagine you guys you're paying your own ticket and all that, but what about uniforms and etc.?
Well, no. Like I mentioned before, the Olympic trials. There was talk of that actually. I was having talk like that with Antonio Lucero, how the similarities are. You know, if I can refer back to the Olympics, the only ones you know about are the ones that actually get sponsored by the post office, Wheaties, things like that. But this is it's an amateur sport, and everyone here has gotten their own equipment. I mean, I brought my own equipment, paid for it, paid to bring it, you know, throughout the year, whatever equipment broke, whatever equipment I needed to upgrade, you know, helmets, what have you, we bought ourselves. Actually, we went there. I brought back equipment for the school because it's so inexpensive there. But this is all self-sponsored, you know, self-sustained. It's for the love of the sport, for the love of the art, for what you're doing. And we would have been lucky. It would have been nice to have you know, some sponsorships, but no.
I'm open for sponsorship. Anybody want to send free equipment?
Out of pocket.
Team 2024, we're open to it, guys. So whoever wants to sponsor Team Zapatis,
and I'm shameless. I'll advertise anything. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm
looking at you, Combat Instruments.
They wouldn't let me use my combat. They wouldn't let me use my Combat Instruments fencing mask for the knife tournament.
Right.
I was really disappointed. I was gonna, you know, really show you know, be the outlier, but no.
So, all right. So when they're picking you guys, I understand the criteria based on previous medal winnings and all that. However, though, how many weight classes does the American team have?
That's an interesting question because I won the East Coast senior heavyweight and Frank won the West Coast senior heavyweight. And then by the time and to be really honest, like, you know, back in my mind I was like, all right, it's gonna be me and Frank in the finals. But then like the week of, we find out his weight cutoff was they put him in a lower, I don't want to say lower bracket, but like a lower weight class. It was still heavyweight, but they split it suddenly. We had no idea.
So I had to lose about 12 pounds that last week as well. So,
so they have heavyweight, middleweight. I mean,
they have
light.
Well,
it seems
I'm in super heavyweight 18 to 39. That's what I qualified for.
So it's age and weight.
Yes.
Yeah. And then 40 plus. And I managed to actually lose about 7 pounds due to a bout of food poisoning like 3 days prior to the tournament.
Right? Yeah. You don't have to worry getting on doing
road work. Bad pork bun. That's a Grand Hyatt in Manila. Yeah, I'm looking at you.
No sponsorship there, Rich.
No, I don't want it.
All right, so you got so weight and age. So basically 18 to what's the cutoff?
39, and then
18 to 39, and then 40 plus. So I guess.
Oh, hold on. 56.
Wait.
40 to 56.
40 to 56.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then you had 57 and up was the Grandmaster category.
So just to correct, there's a flyweight, lightweight, middleweight, and super heavyweight.
Actually, Chris just put it in here.
Yeah, within those categories, age categories.
So there's
but let me add, it gets quite loose.
Okay.
Okay. Those the age and category, it's quite loose because when I fought a knife, let's just say this gentleman was not. I mean, he was on the low end, which is fine of the weight category, but this guy was not even 40 years old. He was quite a young man. I know the Filipinos age very gracefully, shall we say, but yeah, that they were playing quite loose in the age category. So
Okay.
just saying.
Well, they had 100. They had 100 plus competitors, so they
Yeah.
might have been just shifting people. weren't they?
Yeah. Well, this is towards the beginning. I'm sure they,
Okay.
they had plenty to choose from.
So
It's
wow.
all right.
So okay, so age and weight classes. So conceivably, how many? Okay, so how many age classes? You got 18 to.
Oh, yeah.
Rachel,
You have a lot of kids below that, but
The kids actually go by age and height. And then when it gets to about, I think, 16, 17, it's age, height, and weight. And then when it gets to 18 to 39,
correct.
and it's just weight.
Okay. All right. So then, but still, and you guys brought, what was it? How many people in the teams?
I think 30.
Just about that.
So people from West Coast, East Coast, South, I guess, all over.
Yeah, we had participants from New York, Jersey City, Maryland, and California. I think it was mostly Felix Royals' group.
Yeah.
Felix, yeah, I could see California, New York,
yeah,
probably having the most, right? That would make sense. Okay. Yeah.
No, actually, I think it was Kid Connection had the most, but they had a lot of the kids, man.
Yeah, a lot of the kids.
Yeah,
I think Maryland made up most of the members, but as far as adults, yeah, it was California.
Yeah.
Wow, there's 30 though. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. How many? Okay. Out of the 30, besides you three, how many others took medals?
Oh, a lot of them, man. A lot of I think almost everybody took home a medal of some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the Americans almost saw all medals.
Yeah.
We did quite well. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so for 30, it's percentage-wise, it sounds like you guys did really well against maybe teams that fielded like 100 or something.
Oh yeah, the Philippines where they had like I think 300 medals total.
Yeah, I mean there is no way. I don't think it was humanly possible for us to get that many medals. And I signed up for every sparring event.
Yeah.
And
All right, well let's cover that. So obviously you got the stick. It sounds like there's knife. Is there something missing? What else is there?
I participated in single stick, double stick, padded knife, banca, which is like a long staff.
Okay.
And we had qualified for team sparring, but we had 2 injuries. It was kind of complicated. I guess what happened was we had a team for the West Coast, which was Grandmaster Felix's students, and then we had a team for East Coast. And initially it was supposed to be myself, Nick, and Frank as a team, but then Nick's knees started to give out, I guess, and then Frank had broken one of his fingers, so neither of them were able to do team. And then we had another one of our other teammates from our school. His name is Rashik Frederick. He wanted to He wanted to do team, but we needed a third person, and it was something where like I think we had to forfeit because we didn't have 3 of our own.
You couldn't field 3. So when you say team, I mean there's 3 of you, like 3-on-3.
Yeah.
Well, you come in one at a time. Yeah,
Right.
But I liked how they did it in the Philippines. It was like a Royal Rumble from WWF.
Right.
So 2 guys are banging for 1 minute, and then the ref calls in, and then those 2 guys and the other 2 dudes come barreling in at each other. I was kind of disappointed I couldn't do that. I was looking forward to that, but
That sounds like fun.
That's how we did it. Yeah, in the East Coast.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the same thing happened to us when we were in the West Coast too. Frank and I were trying to do team, and we didn't have a third person.
It happens. It was just 2 of us out there.
We asked somebody to join us, and he was going to, but then I think his wife called him, so he had to go home. So. Which I totally understand. I'm in the same boat. I had to ask my wife permission to jump on this call, actually.
When that call comes in, Sometimes there's just no choice. You know? All right, so we got some of the beginning criteria. All right, so you guys all kind of fly together, or do you guys go separately? They're at different times, or
Oh yeah, we were scattered. We were scattered.
scattered. Okay.
I was out there a week ahead of time. I wanted to get acclimated. Wound up getting the flu. I was scared it was COVID. I was in my hotel room every morning, like clutching, like crossing my fingers, like please don't come up positive. Please don't come. I didn't spend $5,000 to come out here to quarantine. You know, we all stayed at different hotels. We all flew in and left at different times. But like, it's funny, for as uncoordinated as the New York guys were, like once we all got to the venue, like we were all just like, you know, intermeshed, like tight and stuff like that. We kept in contact. We knew where everybody was, but we were scattered across the city.
So when you so you all get there at different times, staying in different places, what have you. Like, how many days were you there before the actual event? Like before kickoff?
I was there 5 days prior.
Oh yeah,
Nick, how many days prior were you?
Almost seven.
And Frank, how many days prior to the event were you there? -1. What was going on?
Remember how? So basically, we were all trying to get there. The intention was everyone who wanted to get there to acclimate as best as we could, weather-wise, before the event. So you heard Nick just went a week before he got the flu. This one went a few days before he got food poisoning. I was scheduled to go 2.5, 3 days before. I missed my flight. So I got there. Thankfully, everything was so delayed. I got there the night before it actually started. So no acclimation, no anything. I was stressed to the. I mean, I'm coming out of the cab in front of the complex, and these guys are coming out. Hey, the parade is here, man! Come on, let's go. So I was pretty much shitting my pants. Pardon me, and thinking I had missed at least part of the events. So. Next morning I think I was one of the first.
You got to click in.
Yeah, so sometimes it's the best way.
So those of you that were there early, and what did you guys? So like, did you guys like? Was there like practice sessions, or you're just kind of being a tourist? I mean, like, were there actual like sessions where you guys could practice, or you just wasn't no need?
I mean, like I was doing some personal training in the gym, and I actually, I got together with Grandmaster Nick Elizar of Nickel Stick Balintawak.
Oh, Nichols,
just to train with somebody like, you know, I wouldn't have the opportunity to train with. But other than that, I mean, I guess it turned out for me, I was on such a tear to get ready for this, like the 6 weeks prior, that I think getting the flu was kind of like a blessing because it forced me into bed for a couple of days. You know, it just
they force you to just kind of hang out and rest and not just okay. So Rich, were you tearing it up, like, or were you kind of just being mellow?
Oh, he was tearing it up.
Well, I was with my cousins. I spent some time in Boracay, and then I met up with a couple of my old instructors when I was in Manila with Master Jaime Quezana and Master Peachy Barong.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, wow. So you're kind of big. So, like, how tall are you?
I'm 6 feet.
6 feet. How much you weigh?
227. I think I weighed in at
huge for a Filipino. I mean, the charts. I mean, that's like 6 footer. Wow. That
a mountain of a man.
I'm just thinking though. I mean, that's big for states sides. I mean, like, I'm close to 6 and 195, depending I'm a stress eating or not. But but you're 200 plus and 6. That's huge for wow. You must tour for everybody over there.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you should do some reading, and there's some article going around I mentioned.
You got more, yeah. Well, that's so you saw some family and caught up some old instructors. That's neat. Okay, all right, and then all right. So, all right. Let's go into. So you guys obviously touched base before that. So tell us about the opening ceremony. What was that like? Assuming there was one.
That was surreal. That was just like
Okay.
for me. It was surreal to sit there like wearing a uniform that says Team USA, and like realizing like I'm representing my country, you know,
Oh my
on
God,
an
I can't
international
imagine.
level. And but like I gotta say, like the Filipinos were so welcoming, like when we went into the area, like people were cheering for us. Like
Oh,
it
that's
was
nice.
just, yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was surreal, man. I enjoyed it. It was amazing.
So did they play each country's? I mean, did they get that particular as far as each country's
No.
anthem? No, no, no. Okay, all
They
right.
only played the Philippine national anthem.
Okay,
But
okay.
yeah, it was really nice because like they introduced each country and we kind of like paraded in and we were all lined up. So then all the countries, I think supposedly there was Saudi Arabia, but I don't remember seeing them participate. But I remember there was India, there was South Korea, there was Switzerland, Brazil, England,
Germany.
and then Germany, and then us, the U.S., and then the Philippine national team, and then like every town, I guess, university team or whatever. Is apparently even so for our niece, it's taught in physical education programs in the
Yeah.
Philippines, and then they have varsity teams. So to make a team in the Philippines, I mean, you're going to be competing within schools. You're going to be competing, against other schools. Then within the barangays, and then after the barangays, you compete with different towns, and you may represent like a city or whatever. It's really a big deal to make it to the national team.
Yeah.
And actually, and that said, to touch on your sponsorship, the government, everyone from the government to local government, they sponsor these kids. These kids are sponsored.
They should.
From the coaching officials. So they get. Antonio was actually telling me about this. So once you make that team, your schooling is paid for. You get a stipend for food. You get a stipend for your books. So you are looked after.
Oh, good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them
A lot of these the winners for the golds were getting up to 5,500 pesos for winning gold.
That was for the Philippine national team because, like, I think the other teams they weren't getting that.
No,
but they were very talented.
Kids, very talented, but they're given the time to do these things, and the resources.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
That's great to hear that
they have I guess they have a curriculum. And they follow that curriculum, and it lasts for a semester. And then I saw them doing drills, like the younger kids. They were doing, I think, especially with the padded stick, they were doing like moving in, moving out, hit low, and then like they'll hit low and then jump back. It was really cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Wow. All right, so open ceremony is done. So I'm assuming after that they jump right into the fights. How they start? They go with the lower classes, lower ages, or was it
thousands of children?
It's true.
It was a full day in it. Like the first day of the
first day for kids.
Oh man, like the first day was just us watching kids all day, and then we come to find out like at 8:00. Yeah, no, you're not fighting. We're like,
see you tomorrow morning. You're like, oh my god, and you better be there.
But it was cool to see like how the kids were participating. They started off with like the forms, and then they got into the padded stick. I think that's what they started with first, was like padded stick sparring, point sparring.
Wow.
Yeah.
So and then you guys, sounds like all of you guys went on the second day.
First day ceremony, second day was the kids, and then actually technically the third day.
Yeah.
So the opening ceremony, that was just one day right there.
Yeah, and we had to get out of there because they had to finish up the Philippine national qualifier.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. So the third day is when you guys actually have your first fights.
Yeah.
All right.
I fought padded stick first, and then padded knife.
So padded stick, padded knife. And how about you, Frank? What would you do?
Same thing. It was padded. That was early. Pretty much, like Nick said, that third day they started. I think I was one of the first ones to go at it, and I realized how quick these Filipinos are. But it was padded, and and the following day I believe was knife.
So Nick, you same thing for you?
I just had padded stick the first day.
Padded stick.
Yeah.
So you guys recall like what country you fought? Or?
I fought Philippines.
Philippines.
Yeah, the kid. I lost to the one who won the gold. That was a head game because I was doing really well, but I think he picked up that I was a brawler, so he like bum rushed me, and once he like body checked me, I was like, I'm in the pocket, bro. I ain't going nowhere. Then he just tagged the hell out of me, and I was like,
oh, just.
Yep. Yeah.
I forgot the game I was playing, man. My head was like, yo, we're brawling, and he remembered he was playing tag. And
he remembered that he was supposed to accumulate points. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what about? So all you guys fought Filipinos?
Yeah.
No, from my padded stick, I fought someone from the West Coast, USA.
Oh, right.
And it was funny. Like we were going at it, and then we were tied 8-8, and the last point, sudden death, he got it. And I was like, damn! And I lost in front of Senator Miguel Zubiri. So I was like,
oh yeah.
And he knows Master Peachy Barone. We both do those Bravissimo. So I was like, oh my god.
So actually, all right. So
wait, can I just jump in about the Miguel Zubiri thing, because this was actually really huge on a lot of levels. So a lot of people don't notice. I'm gonna blow his spot up. Rich is like a baller in the Philippines. Next thing I know, he's hanging out with like this Balintawak super group and the mayor, right? And they're all like keeping him around. They're kicking everybody else out of the gym, but the mayor's like, "No, Richie, you stay." And I'm like, "Okay." We're all waiting for Miguel Zubiri. Then finally we get back in. And then one of the mayor's guys comes up and he's like, he goes to Rich. He's like, come on, you're coming on stage with with Miggs. I go to Rich. I beg him because, and I'll get to this in a second. I was like, I got to get on stage. I got to talk to Miguel Zubiri. So Rich makes a thing to the guy, and the guy's like, all right. So next thing, the whole New York team is now on stage. So you have all these like senators, mayors, and then us four mooks.
Just us.
And then they grabbed Grandmaster Nick. And so that was just surreal. Now for me, my master initially is Jeff Finder. And in the first international tournament, he fought Mick Zubiri in the final.
This is 1989.
So, yeah, so for me to come and pay respects to the man, and I mean, he took the time to come and meet everybody, and I had to stop him like a fanboy. I'm like, Senator Mick, hold on, and for him to take the time and really like recognize and respect like Jeff, after all these years, like Rich, I can't thank you enough for like using your juice to get us things like that.
That was awesome. I didn't realize like how, like how close you guys were. Like, I guess you've never met Senator Zubiri, but I mean, Senator Zubiri remembers fondly your instructor, Master Jeff Finder. Like, I guess that was like a war they had, like, in the very first WEKAF tournament.
And the great thing is I overhear Zubiri, like, he's like, you know who that guy is? He goes, that's Jeff Finder's student. And they hear all these old grandmasters goes, Jeff Finder, and they still remember him, which is, for me, I'm partial, but he's my master, and he's like a martial artist.
Yeah, and then that's awesome.
It was just so great to be able to relay that message back to him, like 33 years after the fact, man. So Richie, man, I thank you.
Well, honestly, he must have did pretty well for them to remember him and be that significant still after 3 decades. So yeah, I mean that's. So then, all right. So that's your. Well, it's a third day, but your guys' first fights.
Yeah.
So how many fights did you guys each have respectfully before the medals?
Depended on the event. It really depended on the event because they handled everything all at once. So I got knocked out by the guy who won with padded point, and I got bronze for it. There was also another guy, so there was like a co-bronze. Like for example, there was a padded knife bracket for kids. I think it was like 10 to 12, and there were 20 competitors in it. Like I would hate to have been the judge in that ring that day, dude. Like there was just so many kids, but like it varies. Like some brackets had 6 people, some had 3. It it really differed upon, and that's actually like why Antonio Lucero, Master Antonio, is like a genius for how he.
Yeah, I can't imagine doing all that. That's like holy crap. So
Yeah.
all right, so then why don't you guys tell the folks what did you guys actually win medals in? So let's start with you, Frank.
So same as Nick, I got with the padded stick, I got that Filipino, I got knocked out right quick. But I had a little bit of vengeance coming back, so I fought him again for padded knife, and it didn't go so well for him there. I was getting a little upset. Actually, that's where I broke my finger. I was getting quite upset at the judging, which was something else, which we found out later, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But
we're definitely gonna bring up the judging.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I could not understand how the padded stick and knife were scored.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, look, this is not our country.
It.
Do whatever you want.
Figure it out. You actually see me on video turning to my coach here, going, what do I do? Everything was just like, I don't know. I was like, okay, let's do this. So I forgot to wear gloves, and he was doing the same thing to me. He was doing the padded stick, just lunging in. So I just met him, rather than with the knife, just punching the cage. So I took it out of the judges' hand. They could not really miss the fact that his neck was just
his head
snapping back each and every time I put it out there. And I got the win, but I got a bloody and a broken finger. So it was that's how that happened. But then I got knocked out for the silver, which that was another story there. But
I'm not trying to knock the guys who won, but like if you saw that bracket, like the guy that Frank fought the first round, like that should have been the gold medal match right there. Like those were easily the two best fighters. And if Frank didn't get injured, I'd bet my right arm that he would have took that thing for sure, because the other fighters, they were good, but like watching Frank and that guy go, like it was like out of like The Hunted. You know?
That was a lot of fun. I mean, I wish it had gone to sudden death just so it could just keep going. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you got bronze.
I got the bronze. Yeah.
So bronze.
It was a hard fought bronze. It was. Yeah.
Okay.
So since Frank broke his finger, we started calling him Frankie Four Fingers.
Frankie. Oh my God, that sounds like a bad mob name. Yeah, Frankie Four Fingers.
Yes, 4 fingers.
What do you think?
Frankie Four Fingers coming to collect tonight. You better have that for. All right, so Rich, what'd you medal in? What'd you medal in?
I got gold in single stick. I got gold in double stick. That was on the last day. I got silver in Bangkok. And then I got bronze in padded stick and bronze in padded knife. I find out from like Frank and Rashik had withheld this information, but the guy I fought knife in with, he was I guess a 5-time Philippine national champion and had been doing this for like 19 years. I was like, well, I don't feel so bad losing. At least I scored on him a couple of times. But I broke 2 knives on him.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
In fact, the second one, I didn't even tell them. I was like, they're probably going to find me.
Oh, my gosh. That's awesome, though. So you, that's 5 medals. That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
And wrapping up.
That's what Chris just wrote. Rich's nickname is the Tenderizer.
Linguini legs.
Who, me?
That was like the overall team strategy, was to just push people's legs.
So we have this one coach in back home who was telling us, I mean, when we played against each other, just to hit the legs, and we weren't comfortable to hitting each other in the legs and stuff, but we always kept it in mind, watch them because they're prone to hit the legs. We didn't see much of that, but we were so frustrated with the judging and so that the last day when Richie was fighting, we were just exhausted, frustrated, and downright pissed. So I coached them And each time I would say, okay, Rich, let's not try and make it so obvious, but I want you to throw a broken U and I want you to go low. I want you to throw that hand low. Just look high so it doesn't look like you're aiming for that. No, this man went out like an axe to the legs. Just ran head low, looking at knees all day, just whacking these. Like how I'm thinking as I'm going. I started saying low, and after a while I'm like, so low. After I'm just like, I just gave up. He's just whacking this guy's left, right. How they didn't call it, I don't know.
Okay, those strikes were fair. They were above the knee. And look, I have been in tournaments. I fought in the East Coast qualifier, and me and this guy were trading leg shots. He hit me front. I was like, all right, let's go. It was like, I don't know if you remember. Do you ever remember Bloodsport where Frank Dukes is trading kicks with the Thai boxer? Yeah. It was like that.
Yeah. That was at the East Coast,
so
right?
It's just the that's how we do in New York, the East Coast,
Yeah, but at the international, though, Rich turned into Chong Li. Just
Wow. So Nick, you took gold. What else? You took gold.
So I got bronze in padded point and double stick, which is cool because I fought Grandmaster Felix Royles. I was like, I'm just jumping into this nightmare, But
Nick, I really commend you. Holy crap, you did an awesome job of that.
Yeah, that was great. That was good, man. Like
Grandmaster Felix is a beast.
Yeah.
He is a monster. I didn't want to say it when I was over there, but I was like, oh my god.
I had no problem going in there, man. So that was fun. I got silver in Bonkao. I went up a weight class to help this dude out who wanted to compete, and he kind of just didn't want to run through a lot of brackets, but he's a really good dude, Don Jose. He was like one of the judges, but he wanted, so that was good. And then the for me, the piece de resistance was the single stick, was bringing that home. And
yeah, for sure.
That was
awesome. Well, I mean, obviously that's awesome for all you guys. All right, so how many fights? Well, generally speaking, because I'm sure maybe there was different for all you guys, pending your weight and age and all that. But generally speaking, how many fights did you guys have within one of the particular modules that got you to the medals and all that? What was the average number of fights?
Honestly, for me, it was just one.
One,
so,
okay.
Yeah, because it was either I got eliminated or it was gold. So gold or silver.
Got it. Okay.
Those were the.
Frank, same for you.
Same. It would be one, and then two, another, and it also depended on how many were in that category. So there was only one other individual or two.
There you go. I mean, that's
so there you go. So in my case, it was just one, and then for the knife, it was two. So yeah.
Okay.
And then.
How about you, Nick? Let me guess, Nick. You had to fight like 10 people or something.
for single stick, I had an interesting bracket. I'm just going to say that my opponents were lined up kind of interestingly, and I mean, I just went in and did what I had to do. But like,
I was his corner man, I have to say. Frank was my corner man. I was Nick's corner man.
Yeah. Frank
and it was a team effort, all of us. We really,
awesome.
I love that. We banded together, all of us, man.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
But I think for the single stick, it was 3 fights. I had
3 fights before you went to for the medal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you had the most fights in before going for. Okay. All right. Okay. And so how many days? So there are the fights, and was there a separate day that was just geared towards the medal fights?
No, everything was just all brackets right off the bat. So we all had padded stick that first day, and then everything else, whether you had padded knife, single stick, double stick, Bonkao, team, was all the next day. So, we had like three or 4 events, or in Rich's case, like 8 events.
Yeah, they all kind of just melded together after that, depending on who was left. who was
Got
left.
it.
Because
Yeah,
if everyone had just one fight, before you know it, the padded stick was all done. You're on the knife. So they didn't hold it per se padded today, stick today. I wish it were that easy. You know.
Oh, so basically, if they got done early, I mean, they were segueing right into the
It would
next.
just segue right into. So they had 6 different courts, and they would have a monitor at every court, if you will, at every ring. And the idea was, if they had enough monitors, and that's what WEKAF is ultimately going to do, is have monitors throughout, even bigger monitors. So all you really have to do is look up and find yourself, almost like you would at an airport, departures and arrivals. That's the idea. But the cool thing was, you could also look at your phone and within reason, see what the flow was, where you kind of were.
It was like off by maybe 30 minutes. But
yeah.
really
So, but it became quite long. And, I think when it became the double and the single sticks, that's when it just, with all the Filipinos, that's when it just became long and ponderous and just.
I think the last night we were there until 10 o'clock, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were waiting around. Me, Rashik, we had finally.
You were done.
Yeah, we were actually officially done, and we had like asked if we could just spar for fun, because Rashik had like just sat around and like, he wasn't really sparring, and then finally they were like, "Nah, we're done." They finished the last official match, and then it was. But yeah, it went a long time.
So how many days? So how many days total from before we get to the final ceremony? So how many days from like beginning ceremony to last day sparring? How many days total?
4 days.
4 days?
Yeah, it was 18th was the opening ceremony. 19, 20, 21 was the tournament events, and then the 22nd was the award ceremony.
All right, so let's hear about the award ceremony. So that must have been something.
It was hot. It was hot and humid.
Yeah, it was outside, and we had like a dinner.
Ooh.
And it was really, it was nice, and it was nice to finally get our medals, and we said goodbye to some people we had met, because we met people from different teams, and everyone was really like so nice, and especially like the Philippine teams, like the local teams, and it was a nice ceremony. We could all just collect our medals and applaud for each other. It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was nice, man.
Yeah.
It's we videotaped it as much as we could, and like Rich said, everyone was really, really nice. I caught up. I never saw the Filipino that I fought against. I finally got to see him there, and he was just really cool. It was held right outside the fort. And it was a nice venue. It was covered. Thankfully, there was some breeze that night, but it was really, really hot.
Yeah.
And same thing. We were there till at least it was still going on when we left. We left like 11:30.
Yeah, we got our final medals. We were out.
Yeah. You guys were okay. And
I was still jet lagged. I think at no point did I adjust to the time.
Oh no!
I'm still jet lagged now.
Dude, I was worried for you. Rich is sitting at the banquet with his head down.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, we
other people were too. Get out of here! Just me, and it was so hot.
This old lady came over. Goes, "Go, I'm gonna give him a little pillow." No. But actually, they wanted us to stay. They actually wanted to still give us that team medal. And we were we're out of here. No,
you guys were just done. You guys were done. All right, so
we didn't even get to compete in teams. So I was just like,
Yeah, you guys were done.
Yeah,
so the next day, did you guys leave, or did you? Was that it? Or
I left early that morning for Manila because I had to catch my flight back to Tokyo and New York. So I arrived back that Sunday, July 24th.
How about you, Nick? Frank? Would you guys?
I stuck around for a few days. I know the day after my fight, after my fights, I just sat in my hotel room watching movies, eating, getting, going to, get the body massages, like ridiculous, dude. Like, you're there, and it's just like, I'm just gonna lay here for an hour for $10, and then I'll go get something to eat and be like, what? I'm gonna get another massage. Just like, I turned into Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now. Like I was just cracking a lot.
That's funny.
It was fantastic, man. It was.
Yeah, they even had massage therapists at the at the tournament. So
Yeah.
I remember I had my shirt off and I was getting a massage. Nick screams at me across from the venue like, "Let's fighting!" I'm like, "Oh my god, I gotta go!" I put on my shirt, just run over.
It helps to have that teacher voice, man.
Yeah, I stuck around for a few days, made up for that time I lost coming in. I had a beautiful hotel. I stuck around at the infinity pool upstairs, went to the beach for a day.
Just say, yeah, man, at least do that, right? A day or two.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think Rich was a little jealous of the hotel there.
Yeah, you know what? I had like a fancy hotel, but it was in the middle of nowhere. It was like I think it was nicer in like 9 years ago when I was there in 2013, but now it's like I was jealous. I was like, wow, you have, because he has a rooftop and infinity pool.
Yeah.
What the hell is this?
Rooftop lounge and then the pool. The food was great at the hotel. There were things to do just around the hotel as well, and so I'm glad I stuck around. And again, beautiful people, not just in during the tournament, just around the hotel and the town, everything. I love
that, man. I tell you, if I went over there, I would. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, I would. I
stayed in the metro area. I was hanging out at the mall. I was bombing birthday parties at Jollibee.
Wow.
Dude, I heard all this crazy singing and I popped in. I was like, screw it. I jump in, I'm dancing, I'm taking pictures.
Oh my god.
Wow.
So let's get all right. Well, let's just get to it. So judges, sounds like they're now this one I saw some posts. I don't know, a lot of times I don't take them seriously, but particularly paying the person that's putting the post on. And there was basically it was on regarding the red and blue WEKAF versus the other one starts with a P. I'm not
PCAF.
Okay.
Yep.
I guess they were alleging some favored calls for and all this, but you guys were there? Would you guys do?
There's a few fights I had to wonder which one the judges were watching.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that just based on like my team. Like there's some fights that I watched of other teams, and I'm like, you guys watching the same fight I watched?
Yeah.
I mean, we were specifically told that if we were competing against a Filipino, that we should have multinational judges, like one Filipino, one American, and one other.
Yeah, it's in the rules that you can request international judges, not to have like a strictly like.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
because you have 3 judges.
That's a nice default system.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and that's where I think I kind of messed up with the knife, because I clearly and you can see the camera. I have a videotape. The camera's behind us, so you can hardly see my strikes. But what got me is that they're directly in front of the strikes. So it's like Nick said, it was hard to tell what they were looking at. And I spent quite a bit of time with Antonio Lucero after that. We were going over things, and his wife actually was the one that initially broke it down to us. And we kind of understood, but didn't make things better. Turns out these judges were hired and taught. They are not martial artists, so they actually went.
Not all of them,
right? They were looking for volunteers. They went through a seminar clinic. I don't know exactly.
Crash course in judging.
Crash course in this, right? But again, and we talked about this. Not being a martial artist took out that element of what a hit really is versus just a scratch. First may not be best. If so.
There's also the C game
nuances. Yeah, sorry.
The C game rules also too. The guys were using the C game standards for judging and not the WEKAF, so there was a lot of confusion with that.
Confusion there, but I think you're going to miss a lot of things. It's like having it's like teaching an umpire, baseball umpire, giving him the job and never played a game of baseball.
There's going to be nuances.
But there's little nuances, that you can't get past. So there was that, So it looking back, you could see how things happened. Didn't make things better, but that's where a lot of that was coming from.
Just for the folks, I mean, obviously a point system, but in other words, if I hit you 300 times, you get me 301. I'm going with the modules single stick. and you hit me 301. So was it counting hits or no?
Or live stick, or
for live stick, it's I mean it's a point system, and I think it's 10 points. But then whoever hits the most and demonstrates ring generalship,
moving the guy around.
Generally, you control your opponent. You're not backing up. And you're not doing fouls. You're not like punching or elbowing or.
Okay.
They're also looking for combination techniques.
I had 2 point deductions, man.
What a surprise!
And he still came back and won. He won gold.
But that was from the ref. The judges loved me. The judges were like halfway through that second fight, I looked over. The judge looked around and gave me the eyebrow flash. He was like, I was like, all right, I'm in. These judges dig my style of fighting.
So what else besides points? So what was there different formats that wasn't just point?
Yeah, I mean, there was one where I think Rashik was. I mean, he really should have won. You know, and as we were walking around, one of the judges actually tugged at his shirt and said he was going like this. Rashik, you know, he was dominating the guy. So, you know, Rashik was just kind of just banging the head. And he simulated this, and he goes.
Because he wasn't doing Corticabatas?
He just wanted to see, I got the impression he wanted to see some technique and not just
some pure dose.
I'm thinking, you know what? If it was a machete, he would have beheaded him with the first.
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about yesterday, is that this isn't when I first started doing these WEKAF tournaments, it's something that I had to learn myself, is that this isn't a duel and it's not a sword fight. This is a particular sport. And in order to win at this particular sport, you need to play by their game and by their rules. And so you need to show that you're hitting different points. You're hitting a head, body, head, and then you're doing your broken U's and your abanicos and with teaks. And, you know, you can't just, although, you're getting the first hit, and that may be better for padded stick or for fencing or something, but for this particular sport, you need to demonstrate that you're hitting with these combinations.
So you're actually exercising strikes from a particular system and all that, as opposed to just going.
But the thing is, those strikes were devastating because, you know, me and Rashik spar all the time. The guy is very strong. I mean, we are just bashing each other, and I outweigh him. But he is like incredibly powerful. But you have to show those. Not you have to be as strong, but you have to show abanico, broken U with teaks, and then here on. That's the name of the game. And you're playing basketball. You play basketball. You don't play football.
And he's right, because and it's funny. I was watching the video before I left of the Nationals from November, and I was coming. This is my first like WEKAF event, you know, after doing full contact sparring. And you see Rich grab me by my face mask, and he's talking to me. Remember, he goes, "This isn't." He goes, "You're throwing power shots. I can't feel it." He takes my stick, and you see him go, "Bam!" He goes, "Did you feel that?" I said, "No." He goes, "You got to play the game." You know, he's like, "Stop throwing power shots and just throw." He's like, "Play the game, play the game." He's like, "You're fighting a different thing here." He's like, "You're gonna lose," and that stuck with me, man. Like even through here, I just had to keep telling myself, I was like, "Just play the game." You know, it's not like, "Oh well, I scored the death shot. Let's call the round."
You had the hardest hit that would have.
Yeah.
You know, Wow. Okay, well that gives some clarity as far as like the criteria which they were going by as far as judging, even though it sounds like some of the judging was a little off, you know.
I mean, I would say, what I understood of like pad, stick, and the knife is that some of it was like some of the judges were. I heard that they weren't martial artists, but I understood some of them were, and the other, I think one of the biggest issues was that the angle of where the judges were sitting, if they didn't see the strike, then they couldn't count it. So it depended on whether or not they saw it. And then there had to be an angle of when you're attacking, the judge has to see it. So you have to angle the person, and that I never ended up figuring out. So
Yeah, when it goes
whatever.
live and all that, man, you're in the moment. Then you got to take into account where the angle of the person in front of the judges. That's
for padded stick. For live stick, I mean, you're just
Yeah.
you're just bashing and
Yeah.
like hitting with all combinations and then blocking him and they're trying to make him miss.
So, which leads to my next thing. So obviously, I value all aspects of sparring or forms or venues and all that. I think there's something to, that warrants, improving yourself. They all have their strengths, weaknesses, what have you. But I think there's value in all of them. So, far as when you WEKAF and all that, you have a lot of the naysayers, of course, all padded up and all that. But I see endurance. I see mobility. I see the ability that you got to fire off shots. And so, to me, there's absolute value in there. I don't really like it when people do that. They just shut something down or put it down without, bringing out some of the benefits that you can get from it. What have you? It doesn't mean you need to like it or whatever. But so what do you guys? Frank, what do you say to folks about that?
There are naysayers at every level. You can take the UFC and say, oh, it's the ultimate. And then you get somebody who'll say it's not the ultimate because you're not getting the lightweight to fight the heavyweight. And you don't know who truly is the best
king or
and then
bare knuckle.
Yeah. Then the point system. Oh, that's not realistic. Listen, everything is everything is competition. Everything is sport. Everything has its own rules. They're going to be naysayers at everything at every level. But you hit it on the head. This requires a high level of focus, a high level of stamina. I myself, up until a day before flying out, I was still working out on a bike inside the gym in the heat with all the equipment on, helmet included.
He was training so hard he missed his flight.
Flight, man. There. But how is it unrealistic when you're training that hard? You're making weight. And not to mention, it's part of the sport is being eyed for by the IOC, for the Olympics.
Yeah, they're not going to do for the Olympics. They're not going to do Dog Brothers style.
Why not?
I can tell you that right now. They're going to be doing some form.
They're going to do it with the padded sticks,
Yeah.
So, there, everyone does or should at least do some form of competition in their own particular style, except for the Dog Brothers, you're not going to get many people coming in wanting and willing to bash their own, get their faces bashed in.
There's a difference though. There's no real competition in the Dog Brothers.
Right? No, understood.
No win or lose.
Yeah.
But there's a different level of consequences. Because I do both of them. Like I agree. Like WEKAF, in prepping for this, if Frank was on the same line as me of just working that cardio, I was wearing a sauna suit. And busting my ass for that and working those combos, like your endurance for your dominant arm.
I can imagine.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's got to be insane. Whereas a Dog Brothers match may not be as so ferociously paced, but because of the difference in equipment, there's different consequences to the shots. You're not going to sit there and trade shots because somebody will go to the hospital. So it's a lot more strategic in a different aspect.
I get it. Yeah.
Again, everything has its merits, but is WEKAF fighting real fighting? Nobody's walking around with the giant helmet and the pads, and the gloves and stuff like that. Even Dog Brothers,
you can argue that's not real fighting
with the mask and,
right.
and the gloves either. They're just coming to a closer approximation of what.
Yeah, they're going to
the hospital.
To the most extreme, without nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
So even then, you have naysayers there. Hey, nobody's walking around really with
a
mask,
unless their style is too deadly to spar.
Oh boy! I always love that.
We only do kill shots.
Oh, take off the mask. See what you got without your gears. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's definitely value in doing the WEKAF style, and I think with any style, like with like if you want to do like minimal, like no helmet and just gloves and padded stick, if you want to do fencing, if you want to do Dog Brothers, if you want to do WEKAF. For WEKAF, what I like about it is that you have the armor and it's sufficient for you to try different things without having to go to the hospital. Like you could try different attacks, different counters, and then try, test your timing. And then if you miss, then it's not the end of the world. But I mean, if you're fighting in Dog Brother style or like minimal gear, I mean, you've got to be very careful.
Yeah.
Well,
it might not be the
also
time to experiment.
You're not facing that speed of attack either. That's the other thing about WEKAF. I think a lot of people forget is that it's not just straight up tippy tap. Like there is a strategy behind it to like, I'm going to hit high here, come low, boom, 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 boom. And it's moving at such a rapid pace that while you're firing off your shots, you got to deal with the guy doing the same thing to you.
Yeah, he might be having something to say about it, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of like quick OODA loops going on, where you got to like, what's happening.
Processing.
It's a conversation and he's talking.
Yeah.
So you better, and you look at these guys going at it, and it looks like a lot of equipment. But let me tell you, if you haven't done it, and you get a shot, this guy over here, Rich,
your legs,
or not even in the armor, you're gonna feel it. I've come home with bruised ribs. So really, forget about essential. You have to have that armor, that armor still keeps you honest.
Oh my God. One of the guys, a couple of years ago, we were sparring, I think on a Tuesday. And then like, I strike, like do an upward strike. He counters me he times me. He's a defensive fighter, Sergio, right? Hits me in my ribs. So I have a bruise on my left rib. Thursday, do the same thing. Hits me again, the same spot. Oh my God, I have a massive bruise. And then like in the gym, we like Sensei Sunny and Sergio, they took pictures of it. Like this massive bruise. And then my wife and I went for a massage, like a couples massage. My God, the masseuse was like, oh, what is this? I was like, just massage around that, So that I learned defense then. And I'm wearing full armor.
Yeah.
So we're not. Yeah. So imagine if I had no armor.
Yeah, that armor. I mean, it like I said, it keeps you honest. You don't just suck up somebody's shots thinking I got my armor.
Oh yeah, no. I'm sure some of them are going through.
So,
yeah. Some of the guys, they really understand how those jackets are structured, or like how the helmet is, or they can hit the points that there is no armor, or they'll just they'll get through.
They know the tricks.
Well, actually, that said, there was I think it was your last round when Rich was fighting Staff. So he called it. Third round came, decision. And Rich said, "This is going to sudden death." And sure enough,
was double stick.
Was it double stick? No, bunkhouse.
Yeah. No, because you remember it was third round. And then I was like, Frank was trying to take my armor off. I was like, no, don't. I'm pretty sure, because I knew they didn't want to give it to me. I knew I won. I disarmed him, and I don't know, whatever. Maybe I'm off base. I disarmed him, and I was really working some nice combinations in there.
Yeah,
right?
It was like
sure enough,
animal from the Muppets.
We were frustrated. So, knowing the equipment, I send them back out there, and I said, look, they're gonna, forget the legs, hit them in the ear. So
okay. This part is Staff. That's long Staff.
Okay,
right?
That's why that was the Staff. And I said, rather than just keep, because most people just bonk you right over the head, come over the top, bonk you. It takes a lot of time. So this time I said, you know what? They're going to give it to him anyway. Forget sudden death. They're looking to give it to him. I said, let's take him out. I see if we can take him out. Helicopter him. Just wait and hit the ear. Because the ear let's just say if you know your equipment, there's a little less padding there. Yeah. So I was hoping that just the ear would just maybe, I don't know, put him on his knee and just take him out. That was the only way we were. we were going to take that round from him. So, to his credit.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, like you said, though, I mean, there's right. Just because it's like, okay, you got the hockey gloves and maybe you wear forearm guards on the Mako. Well, in between the hockey glove and the forearm guard, you know what I mean, the lower forearm or the wrist area. I mean, so there's definitely holes. People know where to exploit just because you got gear on, and there's nobody telling me, yeah, you're not feeling those shots. But again, I think the endurance and just the agility. In other words, the agility where you got to kick off those combos and you got to be fluid and not be hinged up, or I mean, that takes skill. You know what I mean?
And I think things vary based upon the weight classes. Like much like in boxing, where you see featherweights just go and they trading shots. You'll see that a lot with the lighter weight guys, which was interesting. I haven't seen that in the States, where they give each other like a respectable 6 to 12 inches, and they're just hitting each other back and forth. But as you get to the heavier weight classes, you get a lot more of that up close and personal and head-to-head fighting. Like for me, I didn't have any Filipinos in my division. My first guy was a German, and I was like, he's coming at me. He's coming at me, and I'm gonna have to stand my ground, and that's that, And it's really something interesting to see how they vary around the weight classes, like the actual strategy and how they handle each other. The lighter guys are going to be moving around more than the big guys.
Yeah, right. Less weight to carry around, right?
Yeah, the game is a lot different, and it's fun to watch the lighter weights because they're just lightning fast. But I think once you get to the heavyweights, like power becomes a lot more of a factor.
Ring domination, for sure.
Yeah, controlling the opponent. I mean, it's really there's some of that in the lighter weights, but I think the power factor, it's maybe a more slow game, but it's it's
you
different.
see more of the check hand come into play too.
Yeah.
Yeah, more of the stuffing and trying to control the.
Trying to wrap them up. Okay. So, so would you guys do it again, or how often is it? Is this every year, annually?
2 years.
It's every 2 years.
Every 2 years. Okay. So would you guys going back?
Absolutely.
I'm planning to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going back as a coach. I'm retiring. No. In all honesty, man.
But see, now he's saying he's gonna retire.
Yeah.
See, you don't fight no real man. You fight them setups.
No, I thought about it on a couple of different levels. Like, number one for me, I have nothing left to prove. I took the golden single stick. That's what I wanted to do. Honor my system. I'm the first guy in Kabali Serrata to take a world title, as far as I know, in WEKAF. I did it for my master, Jeff Finder. My wife sacrificed a lot for me to, me training and just, I'm a head case when I'm fighting. I'm a head case when it comes to competing. But the other thing too was I felt, and thank God I have a great group of guys, but I felt like in me prepping for this fight, I took away from my students that I was instructing, because my instruction kind of shifted to kind of help me train for the fight. And I felt that I kind of took away from that. And they were all like, no, niggas. But as an instructor, when you got a group of guys, when you're really feeding into them 200% or not, and they were awesome enough to sacrifice, their instruction to help me out. And, I have, I'm talking about now, but my boy Jin, the 15-year-old, I'm here for worlds, man. That's it. And the great thing is, the gym of Sensei Sonny Mayo is probably, in my belief, the best FMA gym in the tri-state area. He's just above and beyond, the quality of instruction in the guys, the way he supports everybody. I mean, you look at how this team comes together, 4 guys from way different backgrounds and styles, but yet the culture that Sensei Sonny created this team that drove each other to look at each other's strengths and weaknesses and help build each other to be the best that we can be. And, for me, I'm honored. I already spoke to the guys. I was like, I'm bringing my boy Jin to work with you, because he's going to get things from you that he can't get from me, and to bring him into the fold that way, and having guys like Chris and Charn, pushing us. There's just such a great camaraderie and environment at that gym that, there really was a true team, and I said it, we had the perfect storm of the 4 personalities, that we balanced each other out. We knew when to pull the other ones in and when to let them loose, and we watched each other carefully, and it was just, I couldn't have asked for 3 better guys to be by my side on the other
No,
side.
it sounds like you guys definitely have some camaraderie going on.
Yeah.
Is Sonny, Coach Sonny, is that Doce Paris?
Yeah, he's a Doce Pares.
Okay. So
The group is, I guess it's officially called Alpha Doce Pares.
okay, I know that just from doing interviews on here. Okay. I would have known that. I have not done interviews though, but okay. Frank, what's your backgrounds?
So it's mostly in Chinese. I have a 3rd degree in Sanda, 2nd in Suaijiao. I've recently gotten ranked in Iaido Showdown, which is a lot of fun. But like Nick said, I've had to put that on the back burner. I have a little club on the side, and I sat my students down, and I said I want to do this, and I can't do both and teach and what have you. So there is that part, but my feeling is it's like a family. The caretaker sometimes can't put out 100%. And some students understood. They stepped up. They kept training on their own. I supervised, from a distance. So, that was great. I didn't have to give up totally on that, but it was. But yeah, you do have to kind of
sacrifice for sure.
Sacrifice, and that's really what it is, And as long as you have people around you supporting you, and that said, I want to second, what Nick said. My journey with Sensei Sonny started very simply with just a few seminars, and instructorships about 5 years ago. And to think that I'd be doing this, sitting here with you guys, I never would have thought that. I mean, it just started. I'll never forget the first time I picked up a stick, or rather got hit with the stick. To this day, every once in a while, I still get that. Remember, it sounded like a cartoon getting hit, like with a bucket in a cartoon, and I just started laughing. And to this day, every once in a while, bing, and you'll see me laughing in that inside the helmet, and it just brings me back to that. And but I can't thank him enough for welcoming me and taking me in, and I've never felt so such at home, away from home, if you will, and surrounding myself with these guys, and these guys really look after me. These guys will play. That's what Nick and I, have a lot in common. We're brawlers. It doesn't matter what's going on. Literally, what's going on. I was ready to fight. In the sticks. I just wrapped this up. Actually, when it was bleeding, they told me to go off to the medics and get it. I just wiped it off. I had alcohol. Kept going.
Yeah.
It was actually Rashik who came over to me as the hand was bleeding and literally said to me, "You're done. I'm shutting you down. You're done. No more fighting." We flew 8,000 miles away. We spent all this money.
It's over. Nothing is over.
I turn around and look at Richie. He's like, "Yeah, you're done.
Yeah,
just no more."
Wow.
No more. And and in retrospect, I look back because I've broken my hands. I've had surgery, and so that's just a little window of what these guys mean to me and what we mean to each other. They're willing just to tell me. And in all fairness, I felt awful. Rashik was willing just to, because I was willing at the last minute. Let's do the team. It's just 1 minute. I can wrap this up. I can work lefty. And he looked at me, he goes, "No, we're forfeiting." It's like, you'd rather forfeit than, yeah. So, it was like, for me, it was like being back in the military around my boys, and
that unity.
Just no matter what you have to. So it was great. It was overall an amazing experience, and to be around these guys just made it all better. So
no, it sounds like it was. I mean, from A to Z. It was incredible.
Yeah. And for me, cornering Rich, I realized, I've cornered, Muay Thai fights before and what have you, but I realized I have a new calling there in coaching. This guy's a great student. He's textbook. He does what he tells you. But I realize I'm probably a better cornerman than I am a fighter. But I'm gonna keep going down that path as well.
Man. Like Mama says, we can't be good at everything. You know?
No. And at some point, we can all be fighters. You know, we can't keep fighting forever. So
But so you guys are all still suffering jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want breakfast at 10 o'clock at night, man.
You want some longanisa and
Oh,
tocino
dude, I am missing the longanisa
with garlic fried rice?
Yeah, yes.
Oh my god!
I mean, like, yeah.
I remember a couple of those mornings. Like, we'll have, I would go to the buffet, and I would say, okay, I'm just gonna take it easy. End up gorging myself.
Yeah,
it's like 9 a.m. and then I don't eat all day, and then like Rashik or you're asking, oh, you want to eat something? I'm like, no, I'm just working it off. And then by 4 o'clock when I actually fight, I'm like, I'm nice now. I feel good.
Yeah.
No, that was the best. Because I was on keto when I went out there, so it was like all the meats and the eggs and the proteins. I was having this massive breakfast every day.
Wow, yeah, same.
Yeah, I would have been crazy, declaring a jihad on that buffet, man.
I gained that weight back those last 3 days going down to that buffet.
Oh yeah.
God.
Yeah, if it's there, man, I'm eating it.
Listen, Filipino food is delicious.
Hey, let me tell you, based on that alone, I'm looking forward to 2024.
Yeah,
fighting and food, I'll be there.
I know, I got it, man. I don't know if there's somebody tells me there's restaurants in Connecticut, but I don't know. I can't find it. So, but Sachi and Ryan Cadero are inviting me down early fall to go down there, and they said they're gonna serve up food. So
Ryan Cordero, is he a Lightning Scientific illustration?
Yeah, both are Lightning. Yeah, both are Lightning. Yeah.
He's got awesome moves. I'm like a fan, a secret fan.
Ryan's incredibly talented, and but yeah, they're younger, and I'm gonna go down there. And
where is he? Are they in Davao or are they in Jersey?
He's back. He went there for money, but he's back. Yeah. So they both live in New Jersey. Yeah, the whole thing. One of the things I'll just make you guys inclusive in this. So one of the things that from a discussion I'm going to try to do, emphasis on try, not is I'm going to try to create regional like seminars and gatherings. Like for instance, in New York, like you guys, in New Jersey, like pull up New Jersey, those guys up there. You know what I mean? Florida. So it's in the works now, where like basically FMA discussion would kind of promote based on the region, different styles, instructors getting together and doing seminars. I'm starting already FMA discussion by the via online thing, but I want to start there. But the end goal is to like, in the region. So New York City, Jersey, whatever. You know what I mean? So
that's good.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. You know what I mean?
Because believe it or not, different systems and different styles can get along. Believe it or not.
It's proven. Yeah. It's
impossible.
It's only within your own system you get along.
Brother Nick.
Always turns into a fight.
Brian Rodriguez says, congrats.
Thanks, Brian. I saw that, man. James Lynn. There's a lot of great comments going on in here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I know.
Thank you, everybody.
Lost track of him.
Who guy?
Who is this guy?
So,
John Dong.
So, all right, Frank, closing thoughts for anything, whether it's a tournament, what closing thoughts?
In spite of everything that went on, and I think there's a future here in the PCAF and WEKAF. We were talking about this. It needs new blood coming up. I'm hoping that we can be part of it. Nick, we'll talk about that a little bit. If you're not going to compete, maybe we can do something on the back end. But that said, this was just a great experience. I would recommend it to anyone. Just get in there, get your hands dirty, compete, and just see where it takes you. Just see where it takes you, because this was just a beautiful experience, and I really want nothing more than to share it. I'm going to bring my family when I come next time. It's going to be an expensive trip, but
even now.
yeah. But yeah, I'm happy to have been part of it, and I just can't thank Alpha Dos Zapatas, Sensei Sonny Mayo, and their crew enough. And thank you for letting me be here as well.
Yeah, no sweat. I'm glad it happened. Rich, closing thoughts.
What are my closing thoughts? Sorry. No, well, you know what? I really think that the whole exercise of like competition, it really, I think like before I used to do other styles that were, they didn't want to spar, they didn't want to do competitions for whatever reason. And then I remember I was working in the Philippines in 2016. My company sent me to work, and I decided to train. So I trained with a bunch of grandmasters in Manila and Cebu. And then a couple of them were asking me like, "Oh, do you do tournaments?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Oh, you should really do it." I was like, "Oh, maybe." And kind of planted the seed. And then I finally got into doing tournaments, and there's just things like, there's just like the health aspect, and building endurance and stamina and speed and strength, power, training, but then also the camaraderie you get, and I just problem solving, like that motivation you get, like, oh, I have this opponent, I have this nemesis, I have this school I gotta fight, or I gotta go here and I gotta compete, and I like the tournament is in 6 months, it's in 2 months, it's in a month. That whole process, I think, is something very formative, and it's something that it's really helped my path in training. So I really appreciate like that venue that Sensei Sonny Mayo has fostered for us, and it's really like the guys who I train with, I really, they're why I'm there. They're just an awesome group. I love these guys, and I love training with them, and they make me better, and I hope I help make them better as well.
Well said. Yeah. All right, Nick. Closing thoughts.
I mean, this was a fairy tale storybook experience for me, man. To be really honest, like, again, to follow in my master's footsteps, and then for my system, and just the emotional aspect of this for me, because I had promised my mother on her deathbed that I was going to win this, and
fantastic.
Off.
And you pull it off.
Yeah, like you can see the video of me. I mean, I'm a weeping like baby at the end of it, and I got Rich and Frank holding me, and Rashik, and these guys was about, and to actually do that, the other thing was, as much as I was the one who stepped into the ring to do it, I can sincerely say, and I mean, I don't care if I'm a broken record, like, I truly feel like pugilistic competition is the ultimate team sport, because when you step into that ring, even though it is just you are the sum total of all of your interactions and your training and your partners and your instructor. I couldn't tell you how many different voices I heard in my head alone, from the ones Frank and Rich and Rashid, I mean, like, and just the fact that, yes, I'm a Serrata guy at first, but Sensei Sonny, working with the Dog Brothers, like, one of the interesting things was Defender Dog and Foxhound were so on board with this. You would think like guys from the Dog Brothers would kind of like break my balls about, oh, you're going to WEKAF, but they were excited. They were like, yeah, I want to see how you're going to fight. I want to see what you're going to do. And just the support and love reinforced that it wasn't just me out there. I mean, I couldn't list everybody, who I'm so thankful for. I mean, like, Dean, even working with you, like, I watched the video. There was a Piper move I did, with my footwork and the way I moved my hands at one point, and I was like, I watched back. I was like, "Oh, you sneaky Piper bastard!" And it's like to see everything come to fruition, man. And I think that's something a lot of people who naysay competition and tournaments are missing out on, because you see what you bring out to the table, and then the camaraderie of working with these psychopaths. Me and Frank, no gear. Yeah, we're just gonna go light. We're both like, yeah, we don't feel good on my shoulders. Yeah, let's go light, And then Rich shows up after we're all tired at like 9 o'clock at night. Like, who wants this?
Yeah, let's go light. That lasts about 10 seconds.
It was truly just I was blessed, to see what kind of tribe I have. Like, Sensei Sonny, even though he's out in Queens and I'm up in Westchester, I always like to joke, I'm like the drunk uncle who comes to the holidays. Everybody's happy to see me. So, I mean, it's great to have that home and that family, and to realize that, like, it doesn't have to be that cold-blooded, my style over your style and so on and so forth, man. Like we really.
But it can be.
Would you say, Rich?
It can be.
It can be.
It is.
But amongst the team and the crew and everything, it's not like, nobody's cutthroating anybody on the team, man. So that was my big takeaway, man. That there's aside from the physical aspect of cardio and stuff like that, like when you really put yourself around the right people and you compete, like, you really can grow as a martial artist, man. You really do grow as a fighter, because you start taking all these different things, and putting them together.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys. I know it was relatively short notice that you guys were all able to come on. I wanted to capitalize on the moment,
We appreciate it.
Like a week or 2
Thank
weeks, So I'm glad it worked out that you guys could all do it tonight. So definitely well worth it. I think you guys should be, seen as, for your medals and your accomplishments, and I think the community should see it. So.
Well, thank you, Dean. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know the drill, but so I download this, goes on YouTube, and then I kind of share it to your guys' wall and all that. So you guys will have like a YouTube version.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hopefully we'll all get to meet. I'm hoping this will pan out or whatever, but I think I'm coming back to a Nick sometime in early fall, and if you guys are around, that'd be great.
Yeah, we're actually trying to do something at Sensei Sonny's. I got to just hammer it out with him.
Oh, good.
Good. All right.
All right. Well, you guys, you take care and have a good night. I appreciate it.
Awesome,
Thank you.
guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you
All
for having
right.
us. Thank you so much.
Appreciate
All right.
it.
Take care.
All right.
Thanks, sir.
And we got, all right. And that wraps up 316. And so what is happening this weekend? A couple things. We got an episode Saturday, Jaime Aguilar, and Sunday we're trying to get Latin America in there with Lalo. Guru Lalo. He's Dorset Paris under, also trains with Roger on Mako. And then we got the raffle Sunday night, which will be at 6 o'clock, if I'm not mistaken. And there's still time, $10 a ticket. There's Bram Frank donated a bunch of stuff. There's books. I think there's some weapons, if I'm not mistaken. But again, that post is pinned, so you can actually just click on the post and you'll see all the donations from folks as far as the raffle items and all that. And what else? I think that's it. Yeah, so Saturday, Jaime is coming on. I think 5 o'clock Saturday. And Lalo will be 8 o'clock Sunday night. And again, raffle 6 o'clock. All right, folks. We'll see you next time.